Hello again, folks. This is David here again with Advanced MasterCAM, and today we're going to be going over Project 2. We're going to be drawing the solid model here in MasterCAM of this particular part. Just a couple ideas of or a couple notes about this here and how we're going to orient this part within MasterCAM. I'm going to create this view right here as the front, and this is the left. So as you see the part, that's how we're going to draw it, and the top is looking down on this. So let's go ahead and move over to MasterCAM. Let's get the file set up first, and then we'll start drawing. So here we are in our fresh MasterCAM. This is a brand new file. I'm going to hit F9 to bring up my origin, and I'm going to go ahead and set up my levels. Level 1 is CAD. Next is level 2, and I'll call it solids. Okay, so actually I want to activate level 1. We're going to go ahead and start drawing the top of this part, and the first feature I'm drawing is this guy right here. He's kind of the main feature of this whole part. Okay, so that is 2.5 inches long, and you add all three of these up, it's 2 inches wide. So let's go ahead and move over to MasterCAM and get drawing. So start with a rectangular shape. It was 2 inches long. I'm sorry, that was 2.5 inches long. And it was 2 inches wide. And that was 1.25 plus 0.375, and there were two of them. So we'll let it do the math, and yes, it is. It's 2 inches long. So I'm going to do an upper left anchor. I'm going to anchor it to the origin. Go ahead and prove that. So now I'm going to turn, give myself a little perspective on this, and we're going to extrude this guy down. How far? That is this value right here, 1.5 inches. So we'll go solids, extrude, select that chain, approve it. Distance of 1.5. Let's extrude in the up position. Sometimes down's a little easier, but it really doesn't matter. Oh, there we go. So we have our first solid now, and it's just this block. So the next feature I'm looking at making is I'm going to make this cut that goes straight through the part. It's this square, rectangular square, and it comes all the way through. The size of that is 1.25, and the height is 1.125. But we got to make sure we're drawing on this face. In order to draw on this face, we need to move to the WCS left. Okay. Now I want to give you a little bit of heads up. What's the difference between these WCSs, and I'll use these WCSs up here? You know, it's kind of this one, these red ones have to do with how you're looking at the part. So when I click on left WCS, I'm looking at the left side of the part. When I'm looking at front WCS, I'm looking at the front side of the part. These up here, these greens, treat them as though you're looking at the machine, or a 3-axis mill. So when I click top WCS, I'm actually looking through the spindle. When I click front WCS, I'm looking through the front door. So while if I click left WCS over here on the part, that left WCS is going to be pointing towards the spindle. If I click bottom WCS, it means the bottom is now pointing towards the spindle. And this basically just changes the view. So every time I click, so in this case I click left WCS, that means this in essence is kind of pointing towards the spindle, and I'm just trying to give you an idea of how it's thinking about it. So this is pointing towards the spindle. So when I click top WCS, as though I'm looking down through the spindle, I should be looking straight at that face. Okay, so these can get very confusing sometimes, and I'm just trying to give you an idea of kind of what they're doing. In reality, that's not what's happening. It's not really setting up your machine for machining. So it doesn't relate to the actual CAM side of it. It's just sometimes how you're looking at it. Okay, so we need to draw this rectangle here on this face, and I'm going to have some overlapping CAD here on this bottom. I don't like overlapping CAD. I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call this center cut, and a new rectangular shape. The origin will be in the middle bottom, because I'm going to be snapping to that point right there. Let's go back and get the dimensions again. It's 1 1/4 and 1.125. So So it's 1.25 here, 1.125 here, center snap. Make sure these are all zeroed out. We'll snap to this point here, and there we go. Now, because I created level 3, I can now turn level 1 off. Let's go and improve that here. Oh, that's okay. I've got myself in a little bit of an issue, but it's real easy to fix. Level 2 has nothing in it. It has the 4 original CAD lines and the solid in it. I want to move that solid to level 2 where it's supposed to be. So let's highlight that level. That solid. Right click on the word level here, we'll uncheck use main level, and we will put number 2 here, and we'll approve it. Now you see you have 1 entity there, 4 entities here, and 4 entities here. So when I turn the visibility of level 1 off, just that bottom CAD. Now it's important, you don't want to delete the CAD you're using to create these solids. It messes things up. So let's go ahead and cut this CAD straight through it. So solid extrude, let that auto chain around. It's wanting to create a body initially. We want to do a cut body. We want to flip its direction because it's not actually cutting into the part. There, now it is. And instead of a distance, we want to go through all. And we'll prove that. And now you can see we got our bottom feature. So let's go back to our levels. I like to primarily draw on level 1. We'll hide the visibility of layer 3. So next part we're going to be looking at is this monolithic top, or it's basically a cube. It intersects these 2 cylinders here, and we're going to be drawing it from the top. So we're going to draw a square on the top face here and extrude it straight up. So we need to be drawing on this face. So in order to look down on that part, we need WCS top. And now we're looking straight down. To verify, I'll click this first one here. And there you go. We are looking straight down on this part. Now, I'm going to teach you a quick lesson about 3D and 3-dimensional drawing and 2-dimensional drawing. With this, with this in 3D, I can actually use my snaps to snap the square up here. What the 3D icon does here is it allows a Z value to be added into a snap. Let me show you real quick. So if I leave that in 2D and I want to draw a circle and I want to snap to this, what will happen is you'll see it actually get drawn down at 0, because Z of 0, 2-dimensional, even though I'm snapping to here. See, the circle's down there. Now if I really wanted to draw up here, I have 2 ways of doing it. If I have a place to snap to, I can adjust it 3-dimensional, and I draw the circle again, and you see it's now it takes into consideration the Z depth here of a snap. Now the other way of doing it, sometimes you want to imply you want it to draw at a very specific level. So if we leave this at 2D and I change this Z level to be the top of here, we can left click on the word Z. I can either type it in, which is 1.25 I believe, or no, it's 2. Heck, I think it's 1.5. I could type 1.5 in here directly, or I can left click on Z and click on one of these snaps, and it puts it in there for me. So now whatever I draw, no matter where, as you see, it's always at that height. So that's how we're going to, those are 2 ways of how we can draw on top of this part. I'm going to go ahead and do 3-dimensional, and I'll zero out the Z, because I'm going to use rectangular shape. Looking at this, we have a width of 1.25 and a 1.125 here also. So 1.25, we just got to make sure we know which direction we're going. So looking at the top of our part, we want the 1.25 going this way, and the 1.25 going this way. So, hold on, I got to escape out of this because it's kind of stuck. So 1.125 on that direction and 1.25 on that direction. We'll have an upper right snap, and I'm going to turn it a little bit because I want to make sure I'm snapping to here and not down here. So we'll snap to that corner, and so here we are. This is the square we're going to use to extrude. We're going to go ahead and prove that. Let's go solid extrude, select around that chain. It's going the wrong direction. But we're going to make sure instead of creating body or cutting body, we're going to add a boss. And adding a boss just means we're adding to an existing solid. I'm going to flip the direction around, and looking here, that value is 1.63. 1.63 here, and we'll prove it. So there we go. Now we have the square sticking out of the top. Looking at this next, I'm going to go ahead and draw these two circles right here. Sorry about my drawing, it's real hard to draw with the mouse, but you kind of get, it's these guys right here. Okay, so going back to MasterCAM, what's good about this is we can use this cube that we draw to snap our locations of our circles, and both those circles have a diameter of 1.125. I want to be drawing on the back side of this, so I'll be going to WCS back to verify I am looking at the back. I'll click on that top WCS, and I am. We'll click circle here, and I'm going to go ahead and lock in the diameter. So now every time I click, I'll be creating 1.125 circles. Now I'm going to middle snap here, and there are two circles. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to extrude these guys out. So solid, extrude. I'll start with this first one here. We'll prove it. It's going the wrong direction, but we want to add the boss. We want to flip its direction, and now we want its value. We already know that this is 2 inches wide, and it's sticking out another 1/4 inch, so our value for that depth is 2.25. And there it is. That's where we need it. Prove it. Let's take a look at the other one. The other one is 1.5 inches out. So solid, extrude. Select that circle. Make sure it's add boss. It's going the right direction. 1.5. And approve it. And there we go. Now, I want to show you something that I did it in this order to deliberately cause a problem that you may run into in the future. Looking at the underside of this, you see that the cylinder, this cylinder that we created here, this extrude boss is showing up inside this cut here, and if we look here, it's not supposed to be. And that has to do with the order of processes here. What the kernel is doing is it's going through, it says, okay, I'm doing that extrude first, and this cut, and this boss, and this boss. And because this boss was created after that cut, it's coming through that cut. Now, we really wanted the cut to be done afterwards. So we're going to simply fix that. Here's our boss that created this cylinder. We're going to take this cut here that we did, and we're just going to drag it right on top of it, put it right after that boss, and as you see, it cuts right through. And that's how you fix some of those problems. Easy enough. Okay, so now let's go ahead and create the other two circles that we're going to use to cut through here. The diameter of those circles are 0.625. We are still at WCS back, and we're going to go ahead and use this geometry to place our circles back here. So we're going to use the geometry on this front to place them on the back side. In order to do that, we must be in two-dimensional view and with a Z of 0. So with a circle, and we're going to change our value, 0.625. It looks wrong so far. It's okay, it'll snap to the right size. So when I snap to here, click, the circle's created on the back side. And that's what two-dimensional Z of 0 does, because our actual drawing surface is back here. So I'm going to snap to the center of that one, and boom, I have our second circle. So now let's go solid extrude. We're going to select both of these this time. I'm going to go to a cut body. It's going in the right direction, and we're just going to click through all. And now we have both holes done. Here's another thing you may want to consider too. This information here: create a single operation, or automatically, or not. If I uncheck this, this will be two separate features in the solid tree. But by leaving it as one, it shows up as one solid feature in the tree. So I'm going to leave it create a single operation. And see, now that extrude cut is both holes. Let me see if I can get in there and change it. Nope, once it's set, it's set. Okay, so next up is we're going to draw this rib that comes down. It's this triangular shape coming off the side here. So we got to be, I'm going to be drawing this in front view. So WCS front, click on that again. Yep, we're looking at the right face, and I want to be drawing on this level, and I want to be drawing in 2 dimension. So I'm going to left click on Z. I'm going to snap to anything on that plane. There we go. So we got a Z of 1.25, which is perfect. So let's get in front view here. And we'll need a line that's going to snap from this endpoint. Didn't draw it. Let's try this again. It goes from this endpoint. Okay, it's just disappearing on me. And we need it to snap to a tangency right there. Now that's tangent to that circle. Now I need to draw in the rest of the stuff. In order to see what I'm doing, I'm going to switch to wireframe mode, and that's this icon right here. I'm going to right click and click on my auto cursors, and I'm going to activate angular, and at 90 degrees. That means every line I draw will either be drawn at 0 degrees, 90, 180, 270. So I'm going to draw a line from, let's turn off all our auto. I only want endpoint, so I'm going to disable all and do endpoint. And that's from here. Oh wait, I disabled the other auto cursor I need. Now I want angular too. So we want from here. We want from here. And we're going to let them overlap a little bit. Okay, so as I turn the view now, I've got this set of CAD right here, and I got to trim them back. And they're also overlapping this square, which I don't like. So I'm going to create a new level. 4, and we'll call this rib. And I'm going to select these 3 CADs and move them to level 4. Turn the visibility of level 1 off, and now I have, sorry, that's the wrong button. I was wanting to push clear colors. Okay, so now there's the triangle, but I got to make these endpoints match, so we're going to trim them back. So I'm going to trim icon here. We're going to divide, delete, and now we have it trimmed back. Now somebody may be asking, well, why are we're drawing this extra amount here? How come we're not following the circle and coming down straight? The reason being is I'm going to add a boss, and this section that is intersecting the part is going to be absorbed. So you see how it's going into the part? I'm not worried about it because it'll be absorbed into the part. So let's go solid, extrude. Check that, and that chain goes all the way around. It's going in the right direction, but we want to make sure it's an add boss, not a create body. And the value of the depth is 0.313. We'll prove it. And as you see, everything has been absorbed into the part, which is perfect. It's what we need. So I'm going to come back. We're going to activate layer 1, turn off the visibility of layer 4. So what's left to do? Well, we have a wedge cut on this back leg here, and then we have a wedge cut that goes through both of these legs on this side. We're going to go ahead and do this wedge cut over here, and I'm going to create another layer. We'll call it large wedge cut. And then I'm going to turn visibility of layer 1 off. Make sure layer 5 is. This is probably the hardest part you got to do on this. We're going to snap our 2-dimensional drawing, our Z level, to here. Now, looking at this part, you see that this, all we have basically is an angle line at 30 degrees, and it come tangent to the circle. That's all we're given, and that's all we need to actually create this part. But there's actually 4 segments that we got to draw. We got to draw this angled segment. There's a segment that comes out to here. Segment. Let me draw. So we got this segment that comes through here. Segment that comes up here, and then there's a small arc segment right in here. These 3 segments here we can just pull from our existing part. This one we have to create. So let's switch back over. Now to duplicate these edges, we'll go create curve on one edge. We're going to select that edge, and that edge, and we'll hit enter. Now you see we got nice 3 new pieces of CAD. Now we got to draw a line that comes tangent off of this arc, and it's at 30 degrees off of that arc. So looking at this, 0 degrees for MasterCAM, 180 degrees for Extrude, 180 degrees for Wedge Cut, 180 degrees for Extrude, 180 degrees for Wedge Cut, 180 degrees for Extrude, 180 degrees for Wedge Cut, 180 degrees for Extrude, 180 degrees for Wedge Cut, 180 degrees for Extrude, 180 degrees for Wedge Cut, 180 degrees for Extrude, 180 degrees for Wedge Cut, 180 degrees for Extrude, 180 degrees for Wedge Cut, 180 degrees for Extrude, 180 degrees for Wedge Cut, 180 degrees for Extrude, 180 degrees for Wedge Cut, 180 degrees for Extrude, 180 degrees for Wedge Cut, 180 degrees for Extrude, 180 degrees for Wedge Cut, 180 degrees for Extrude, 180 degre is at 3 o'clock. So that would be 0, that would be 90, this is 180, this is 270. So we're 30 degrees from 270. So 270 minus 30, sorry for the math here, is 240. Okay? So that is the angle, even though it says 30, we're actually coming off at 240 degrees. So in here, we're going to, for this angle, reset again, this angle we're going to put 240. I'm going to lock it in too. This controls tangency, this controls the angle. Snap here, and we're going to come off this line right here, and as you see, it's fixed at the angle. We just draw past, just like we need it to. Now we have all our CAD the way we need. Let's come back and trim it up. So I'm going to click this, divide, delete. We're going to do that part, we're going to do that part, that part. Now we have our complete chain coming around that we're going to use to extrude cut. So solid, extrude, make sure it auto chains around. Now this may be a problem. See how I got red and green here? They're overlapping. This may not extrude right, so I may have to correct this chain somehow. Let's go ahead and see what it does. Yeah, see, I got this red going this way and this blue going this way. Something going on here. I'll go ahead and show you what it does, but it's basically not going to work. Kernel solid air. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to delete this arc. In order to get this arc, priorities are to solids. I can't select the chain over the solid. I've got to set select only, hit wireframe, and select only is this icon right here. Wireframe, approve that. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to select that guy and delete him. And create a new curve on one edge. I'm going to redraw this. And I'm going to come back in and I'm going to do trim one entity. Now it's going to say select the entity to be trimmed or extended. Well, I'm going to select this guy here. And then I'm going to tell it to trim to this line here. And let's see if that worked. Nope. Okay, so that one's not working too well for me. So let's try this one again. Okay, so now I trim, divide, delete. And it looks like it's looking better. Let's go ahead and try the chain select, select your extrude, and boom, see? Only a green, none of that red. So that's what's happening. If you ever run into that where you have a red and green arrow, that means your chain is not connecting. As you see, it now knows what to do with it. So let's go with the cut body, and we'll go through all. Voila, there it is. So let's come back to level, let's see, let's come back to level 1. We're going to be drawing another triangle back here. We'll have some intersecting stuff, so I'm going to create a new level again. Small wedge cut. Turn visibility of layer 1 off. And we're going to draw back here. Now, what side of the part is this? This is WCS back. And we got to make sure we're drawing on this plane here. So we got to just reset our Z to here, which happens to be 0. So let's go create curve on one edge here and here. That's all we need for now, because we're gonna, if you see, we got this diagonal cut. It's right here. This little leg has been trimmed off, and it's only on one of them. And to this angle here is 0.758. Now we duplicated this edge and this edge. Now I got to offset it 0.758. Let's go X form, offset, select that line, snap up here, take 0.758. It didn't look like it's quite right, so I'm going to do it again. This direction, 0.758, yeah, that looks better. Okay, so now we got to do another line. But remember, we should already have our angle set. It's 240. We're looking at the back. Now, if we were looking at the front, it'd be 30 degrees past 180. But we're looking at the back, so it's still 240 degrees. So select there. Oh, no, it's not. See, it's going the wrong way. So let's see what 0 is. Okay, it's 0 is actually at, let's see, it should be on the back WCS. I may not have been on back WCS. That's more than likely what the problem was. Yep, I was still on front WCS, so my 0 degree was off towards my 9 o'clock. So now I can come back in here and put 240 back in. Select there, and now it's going in the right direction. So let's come through and we'll divide delete. We can use divide delete to get rid of that entire line. We got to snap that one back, snap that one back, snap that one back. We should have just these 3 pieces of triangle now. So solid extrude, chain around. We're going to be doing a cut body again, and instead of putting a distance, we're going to use this auto cursor, and we're going to snap right to this point. And there it is. It cuts it just that leg off. So come here, make level 2 active, turn visibility of all my CAD off, and there is our final part. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.